Let's go to the rates cap and some reaction from Cameron Bagrie, who is with us. He's from Bagrie Economics. But before we get to Cameron, let's have a look at what happened at the press conference yesterday.
Many of our newly elected mayors and councillors campaigned on keeping rates low, and that is proof that ratepayers want a better deal, and they do deserve a better deal. Ratepayers deserve councils who live within their means, stay focused on the basics, and remain accountable to their local community. The government's decision to introduce a rates cap will support that ambition and help protect local government's social licence for the long term.
Cameron Bagrie joins us live. Cameron, good morning.
Good morning.
So I'm curious about the range here from 2 to 4%, why you didn't go with, or why you didn't advise to go with zero. Or I mean, what if a council wanted to not increase rates, for example? What's wrong with that?
Oh, well, there's nothing wrong with that. And I guess if you look at what was put up was what I'd call a flexible framework. Yeah, so it was akin to what we do with monetary policy. The Reserve Bank has got an inflation target of 1 to 3%. We put up a similar approach, which was 2 to 4%, emphasis on the word flexibility. What has been put in place is a little bit less of what you call the flexible model than what was initially put up or recommended. And that's where recommendations can sometimes be a little bit tweaked, and in this case, it got a little bit tweaked. But the fundamental framework is there, is that the magic number is around 3, within a target range of 2 to 4%.
So you actually recommended that it was more of a goal, an aspiration, rather than a hard and fast?
Well, I wouldn't call the Reserve Bank's inflation target of 1 to 3% a bit of a goal, a bit of aspirational. There's a little bit of hard edge about it. So the framework that we put in place, and we've effectively got, is very similar. And let's be brutally honest about this, Ryan. The numbers we're seeing out of local authorities at the moment are just not sustainable. It makes absolutely no economic sense as to why revenue for local authorities should be accruing in excess of nominal GDP, or why expenses coming out of local authorities should be rising in excess of nominal GDP. What we've got here within the framework, the 2 to 4% is the price component. Revenue of local authorities will have a volume component as well. So the 2 to 4% is not going to be the revenue number that accrues to local authorities. They're going to get more revenue. Why? Because they're going to see population growth. They're going to see business growth.
This is hard to argue with that, and 75% of people say put the rates cap on them because we're sick of their rates going up. But what proportion of the spending, the Prime Minister called it dumb stuff, what proportion of council spending did you find out is actually on dumb, stupid stuff?
Well, did we do a detailed analysis in regard to what all the local authorities are spending their money on? The answer is no. You need a team of 50 people to go to do that. But what we do at the moment is some pretty basic economic equations are not working. You've got your local authority rates are moving up at 3 times the rates of inflation. What we're also seeing is that local government expenditure is rising as a share of GDP. In the past couple of years, that's been a pretty rapid sort of clip. We know there are some reasons for that. I live in Wellington, and thanks Wellington, because my rates are up 92% in the past sort of 5 years. So, naturally, I'm pretty joyous about what's going on that front. But water has been stripped out of the equation because water is just a fundamental problem that we cannot solve through having a rates cap. So the hard stuff has been stripped out. What is left is what you'll call the basic stuff that councils are expected to do, live within their means. And the basic number here, if you work backwards, then 2 to 4% or 3% is the magic number. But that is not going to be the total revenue number for local authorities because they're going to get some volume growth. And that should allow local authorities to have revenue growth broadly in line with what we think nominal GDP growth is going to be across this economy.
Very quickly, is there any way to stop the councils from upping their fees, your dog registrations, the price you pay to bury yourself in a cemetery? Is there anything to stop them increasing that to make up some of the lost revenue?
No, and we would expect to see some of that. And if you go back and you have a look over the past 20 to 30 years, what have we seen? We've seen the user pays component of local authority funding has actually not increased in line with nominal GDP.
So we'll see more of those fees go up, Cameron.
Yeah, there will be a substitution. There's going to be a whole lot of side effects here. There's going to be pressure on councils for consolidation. There's going to be pressure on councils to recycle assets. They're going to have to look for savings, and they also look for other revenue means.
Appreciate your time this morning, Cameron Bagrie from Bagrie Economics.